Ukrainian troops have decisively defeated Russian military groups in Stepove. On the Donetsk line of engagement, significant clashes occur within the Avdiivka and Novomykhailivka zones. The Russian military persists in their aggressive maneuvers in Avdiivka, launching fresh initiatives to infiltrate the Stepove village utilizing compact infantry squads. Visuals released by Ukrainian entities indicate that the recent Russian offensive efforts were no different from the numerous antecedent endeavors, as Russian combatants failed to secure any strategic ground within the village's core area. A contingent of Russian troops sought to conceal themselves within a cellar, but the vigilant recon units from the 47th Mechanized Brigade spotted them swiftly. Shortly thereupon, a Bradley infantry combat vehicle reached the conflict zone. Rolling over the Russian-held position, it obliterated the basement, resulting in the Russian soldiers being ensnared within. The Russian military appears to be encountering significant setbacks on the northern wing, as they've made no considerable westward advances for nearly 2 months after breaching the primary defense line of the Ukrainians to the west of Krasnohorivka. In this vector, the Russian forces are facing substantial challenges in providing critical armored backing for their ground contingents. Ukrainian drone operators are adeptly identifying and neutralizing the Russian mechanized divisions before they can cross the rail lines to aid their compatriots in the assault against Ukrainian defenses near Stepove. Furthermore, the constant streams of Russian infantry are systematically countered by the proactive counterstrikes from the Ukrainian Bradley vehicles, which are mobilized whenever there's an observable concentration of Russian infantry along the engagement line. Confronting this strenuous scenario, the Russian command is attempting to shift its axis of advance to the northwest, circumventing Stepove and stretching the front towards the strategic town of Ocheretyne, which is purported to be the coordination center for a majority of Ukrainian counterattacks on the northern sector. In the Donetsk region's southern section, Russian military actions persist against Novomykhailivka. Verified by parties from both sides and geolocated recordings, the Russians have managed slight encroachments on the village's southern and eastern fringes. They made subsequent attempts to press into the village's inner areas, but their offensives were repelled by Ukrainian defenders. Following these unsuccessful incursions, the Ukrainian units launched counteroffensives and, according to the Ukrainian outlet Deep State, succeeded in ejecting Russian units from agricultural zones situated south of the village. The Russian offensive barrage is anticipated to maintain its intensity in the coming period, as the Russian army incessantly bombards the Ukrainian hamlet with intense artillery fire and FAB air raids, concentrating on the village's fortified eastern sector. In the vicinity of Bakhmut, hostilities are unfolding both to the northwest and southwest. Russian forces maintain their thrust in these locales. In the sector's southern part, Russian units have engaged the Ukrainian positions around Klishchivka. Over recent days, they have barged into and seized segments of a vital trench network located upon the elevated terrains beside the village. The Russian military also sought to progress eastward of Klishchivka, deploying mechanized troops on the open fields to the east of the railway track. Nonetheless, Ukrainian defenders have managed to decimate numerous tanks and armored carriers, utilizing a blend of artillery and drone-offs to weaken Russian forces in advance of the contact line. Even with these setbacks, Russian troops succeeded in traversing the railway tracks northeast of Klishchivka, using minor infantry groups to sweep and secure terrain near the railway embankment. Video evidence from Ukrainian sources highlighted the 26th Artillery Brigade's effective shelling that decimated a faction of the Russian infantry in these new positions, acknowledging the Russians' modest territorial progression in this area. Contrastingly, Ukrainian forces managed to recapture several locations near the reservoirs east of Klishchivka, with geolocated videos relayed on Russian media channels substantiating Ukrainian troop presence in positions roughly 700 meters east of the railway. Recently, Russians have advanced hundreds of meters northwest of Bakhmut, recovering the regions they conceded during Ukraine's summer counteroffensive. Russian forces have overtaken a considerable portion of the contested elevations, where the struggle persists. Simultaneously, Russian offensives compelled Ukrainian troops to retreat from summer cottages and the western outskirts of Bakhmut city, with current efforts indicating Russian intent to maintain their offensive momentum towards the nearby Ivanivsk village, now situated less than 1 kilometer from the Russian positions.